I'm Luca and Tracy's here as well, and we're here to talk to you about some histamine busting foods today. This is one of those really great first pieces to put in place in order to help reduce what's going on with the symptoms. When you introduce these histamine busting foods, you're helping break down some of the histamine that your body's having a hard time moving out. And when you can help and support the body, now we're going to reduce what is driving your symptoms. So let's jump in.
We're going to take you through a few slides now and share 3 nutrients that are very, very important to keep your histamine low. Let's dive in. The first thing we're going to talk about isn't actually a nutrient, it's an enzyme, and this is DAO. DAO is short for diamine oxidase, and this is an enzyme that breaks down histamine in your GI tract. That means that if you consume foods rich in DAO, that it's going to help break down histamine that's coming from your food. One of the best sources of DAO is pea shoots. We love these for their DAO and their lovely fresh flavor. They taste like fresh peas, but it's a subtle, mild flavor. DAO is such a great way to bust histamine. Now, where do you get pea shoots? These can be found in a lot of grocery stores. Check out your health food store or your local farmer's market. And some people like to grow their own. It's quite simple to grow pea shoots. The shoots are the first few inches of growth without the seed attached. How do you enjoy these pea shoots? There are a lot of great ways. We would encourage you to eat them raw and just chop them up and add them to all kinds of food. They're lovely added to any kind of salad, but you can also throw them on top of your favorite soups or stews or any other meal to include DAO to bust histamine with your meals.
The next nutrient on your histamine busting list is something called quercetin. It's one of my favorite guys. Now, quercetin is a brilliant nutrient because it's a mast cell stabilizer. Well, why is that important, Luca? Quercetin helps stabilize your mast cells, and when your mast cells are stable, they're less likely to release histamine. When they're releasing less and less histamine, now you're reducing how much histamine is in your system, and now you're reducing what's driving the symptoms. So quercetin is going to be your best friend, but one of the beautiful things about quercetin, it's one of the most abundant bioflavonoids out there. So that means you can find it in a big variety of foods, but oops, some of those foods tend to be high in histamine, but not all. So what we've done here today, you're welcome to grab a screen grab of this or to print up the handout that we've got in the email. Make sure you click on that button to access that handout and print it up. And here we list some of those fruits and vegetables and fresh herbs that you might want to work into your meals on a regular basis. Blueberries, whether they're fresh or frozen, they will have some great amount of quercetin. Apples, easy to find in all seasons in many different parts of the world. It's one of our favorites, readily accessible and fairly affordable. Onions. How many of us use onions all the time in our cooking? Good idea. It's rich in quercetin. Cabbage. Cabbage is an easy thing to add into your regimen. We have lots of recipes in our cookbook. And here on this image, you're going to see apples and shallots, which are part of the onion family. They too will have some quercetin in them. But this cabbage, apple, onion combo is going to be a brilliant way to bump up even more quercetin in your diet so we can reduce those symptoms. What else do we have? Asparagus, kale, radicchio. Radicchio, if you've never tried it before, it's a bitter green that isn't actually green, but it's rather red, hence the name radicchio. And it's a really yummy bitter green that can be added to salads, providing that great quercetin. And don't forget about fresh herbs. The simple act of adding cilantro or dill to your menu can up that quercetin count in your meals. So an easy way to think about this, I really love to make a chimichurri. Chimichurri is made on a base of cilantro and parsley, as a matter of fact. So that will provide some brilliant extra bounce of quercetin in your meal to help stabilize those mast cells. So now we can include those histamine busting foods so your symptoms start to reduce.
Our third and final nutrient is vitamin C. Just like with quercetin, vitamin C foods can be high in histamine. Have a look at this beautiful image on your screen. You'll see citrus, so oranges, limes, lemons, grapefruit, all of those can trigger the release of histamine. Pineapple is in that image too. Pineapple can also be high histamine. We also see strawberries there. Oops, also high histamine. So let's take a look and focus at some of the low histamine, delicious sources of vitamin C that are going to help you bust histamine. Because vitamin C is antihistaminic and mast cell stabilizing. So it is a really, really important nutrient to have in your diet. It can be found in blackberries and cherries and cranberries. Cranberries are totally underrated. Luca and I love them. Throw them into a roasted sheet pan dinner and they add a beautiful pop of color to your meal. Cantaloupe is another great one. Think of that beautiful orange color. Cabbage. So we saw cabbage also being high in quercetin. So a great food to have anytime. Broccoli is great for vitamin C as well, as is asparagus, which we saw also is rich in quercetin. Brussels sprouts, just like those cranberries, highly underrated, delicious when roasted. So make sure you get those Brussels in regularly. And then we also have a fresh herb parsley here, another great herb to build into all kinds of meals. And lastly is pomegranate. Now, pomegranate can be difficult to find depending on where you live or the time of year, but check out your freezer section. Not all stores are carrying it, but check your freezer section to see if they have the frozen pomegranate areals. So those are our top picks for vitamin C.
Okay, so now what is the work? Well, we've just gone through a series of different types of foods. This is what I want you to do. Go back to the email that sent you to this video. There's a button in that email that says download the handout now. That handout is going to live in your kitchen. So print it up, get it up on the fridge in the kitchen, on the back of the kitchen door if you want as well. If it needs to be a little bit more discreet, I get it. Then refer back to that handout. Start incorporating those foods into your meals. And as you do that, let's see if we can get you to start feeling better.